I told you last week this market's going down. It did. How much further? Watch this week's session to find out where we think it's going. Let's see what these three indices are doing. Let's take a look and jump over to the charts, and I'll start with the spiders. On the spiders, as we talked last week, we were wondering, we're at a peak, as you can see, approaching this high level up here of the last resistance, and then we sold off this week 1 2 3 4. And here's the differentials that I'm talking about. I have my momentum TSI on the daily charts approaching the zero line where it oftentimes will bounce. However, we want to be careful because while it could bounce from there and move back up, it could also just do what's called a bearish squeeze, where it just squeezes together and then continues down. That's one of the potential things that could happen, driving prices back down into this support zone, huge support zone from last year. How much of a correction would that be if we get down into that support zone? Let's just take if we went from the high down to that area, we're only talking about a 5 to 6% correction. And that's not even considered a correction. That's just an adjustment. And even if it drops down to the 200-day moving average, that's still only 8.6%. So it's one of those things. We just want to keep our eye on what is in fact going on here. And so with the other aspect of this is, while we're slipping down here, look what's happening over here on the weekly momentum chart. And this is the same on every one of the indexes that we see so far, Anil, is it looks like it's reversing down. It hasn't crossed to the downside. However, it looks like it may. Do I have a reversal signal? I have 2/3 of a potential reversal set up here. I've got a bearish engulfing, which is typically quite telling. You see when we had a bearish engulfing over here back in late July, and then that resulted in this little pullback here. If in fact we are in the early stages of a pullback, one, how far can we drop? And two, do we want to trade it to the downside with something like the leverage inverse ETF? But I'm out of sync. My momentum here on the weeklies looks like it wants to turn over. And on the dailies, I'm getting some signals that, well, I may want to do a relief bounce. So I'll be watching for the relief bounce on the spiders. Okay, let's take a look at IWM. So on IWM, as you can see, let's look over the daily chart. The market forecast is showing us a two-line cluster from yesterday, which typically means within 1 to 4 periods after that, and this is a daily chart, so 1 to 4 days, we should get a reversal. What kind of a reversal could we potentially get? What I'm looking at is, look at that big red candle over here on the weekly chart. It appears as if the most likely thing would happen was we get a rally attempt going into next week. It stops short of getting back to the highs, and then rolls over perhaps the week after that. The Fed meets at the end of the month, and so we could have a rally attempt, roll over. And so I'll be watching this rally attempt. Where might it be a good place for it to reverse off of is the midsection of that big red bearish engulfing candle. So with this, I want to pay a particular attention because I've got the TSI turning over, hasn't turned over totally yet. I've got the short-term and micro-term momentum on the market forecast on the weekly chart also turning over. My intermediate line, which is the more telling of them, has not rolled over yet. So I would look at any return back into that midsection there. I would put an alert there about the 198 level. And if it gets up to 198, take a hard look because it may fall from there. And as I said, where would it go? Look for it to fall. We could get all the way back down into this area here of the magic fib box. It could go there, or just take a look at how far could it fall. I want to know, where's 10%? Okay, there is 10%. If I retrace 50% of the move, then I'd be down at about 10% correction. If it slips further than that, we'll be watching it. The top of the Magic Fit Box puts me down about 188, 189, which is about a 8% move to the downside. However, keep an eye on the midsection of that big red candlestick we have today. It would be an interesting idea to be watching TZA, and that would be a pullback on TZA to about $20.50 for a potential trade on TZA. What about the Qs? Look like a pretty similar picture. No. Note what we've got here. We had a spinning top doji, then a breakdown, a total gap down. And so we can treat this like a sell-off. The TSI has crossed on the weekly chart to the downside. It looks like it's getting close to a time where a recovery or a rally attempt, and we'll see what that rally attempt is, because my momentum is hung up here instead of down here. I'll be less likely to take this trade here if I get a setup here, or if this turns back around on my momentum charts on my daily chart, because I do have a 2-line cluster here. And so I just sit there and go, the probability is that we get a rally attempt and then we get a fail. And you can look back in time to see those kind, like here, we had a rally, we had fell, had a 3-week rally attempt, and then the fall. And that's why I want to just take a real quick look at where might prices look to turn around. So take these little downward moves from here to here on the fib retracement, pull it back up to the top. Now I'm looking for 100% retracement, which is all the way down here. So I would anticipate that stopping somewhere about the 388 to 393 level. Any type of a move back up into this area here, I'm going to be looking at the potential of trading SQQQ, and that would be SQQ falling back into this area, about the $14 level. And notice this positive divergence here on the TSI. And we see that thing's starting to roll back up. And so we'll see if we can catch a move on Q. Neil, that's what I've got on the indexes. What are you thinking? What's the triple screen telling you?
What the triple screen is saying is actually on the daily triple screen charts on all the indices, the MACD has given up.
Oh, okay.
So that says caution. On the weekly chart, however, everything is intact, which is suggesting that this may be a normal fluctuation that's going on.
Yeah.
And keep picking the strongest stocks and keep going.
Yeah, and I agree with that. It's like Lee Tanner talks about it all the time. Is he stays almost fully invested all the time, and because of his knowledge of the market, is that, guess what? He says even the corrections that have happened are the bear markets. There's only been like less than 10 since 1929, and they have been very well contained. But the majority of corrections are just shallow little corrections, and so not to throw the baby out with the bathwater. So anyway, hey guys, it's been another great year. As we saw and we finished up last week. Last week seems so far away. Let me tell you, I will probably towards the end of January, we'll get the 2024 charts up. Here's where we're sitting after making the adjustments, down about 1.5% for the year so far. However, all the indexes were down as of 9 o'clock this morning. Hey, I've decided to extend the membership opportunity through the 7th. I was going to end it, but I said, you know what? Let's go ahead and put this through to the 7th. Here's the link for the membership, and also here's the discount code you want to write down. That's capital SPEC 2024. Use that to get your 15% discount. If you found today's session valuable and are ready to supercharge your trading routine for 2024, take action now. There'll be some playlist and some videos that'll pop up here shortly. And so take a look at those, help you basically build your pathway to financial lifestyle freedom. Remember, you're in control And we're here to support you in every step of the way. So stay focused and make 2024 your year for trading triumph. Aloha. God bless everybody. Hey, folks, just a reminder that all the materials that we do present are for training purposes. Traders should always paper trade any new method prior to the risk of their personal capital. Past performance is not an indication nor a promise of future performance. The other advice that goes along with that is trade the chart that's in front of you.